Shalom.
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 Again, I would like to welcome all of us to this very important day, the last Sunday, rather, of the month of September 2014, and which I'm so definitely sure it's not going to be another day like that again. There can only be one September. It's also special because God has given us opportunity to gather here once again to worship Him. And I put very strong emphasis on worship because that is the essence of man. That's the only way man can show gratitude to God for all that He has done for us and that He is still doing for us. I'm exceedingly happy also for the opportunity to share today's message with you. I want to talk about, as an opening to what the message of today will be, the principle of master-servant relationship. What is the principle behind master-servant relationship? It is that one serves the other. One is the master. He has bought that slave, or he has control over the servant. So the servant serves the master. There's also the relationship of master and disciple. Or, in a simpler term, follower. In the master and disciple relationship, the latter strives to be like the former. That is, the disciple wants to be like the master. In our relationship with Jesus Christ, we have to merge these two relationships. One that makes us the servants of Christ, and we serve Him diligently. And merge it with the one that makes us that wishes to be like Him, the one that makes us to strive to be like Him. And when you marry those two relationships, in my own humble calculation, you become His ambassador. In other words, you become a representative of Christ. Am I making sense at all? So maybe it's pertinent also for us to understand who's an ambassador. And before I move on to that, you probably will say, okay, maybe those people who call themselves the slaves or Eru Olorun, maybe they are right then. But there's a difference between the servant and the slave, actually. There's some difference. The slave is bought, paid for. The servant may be paid for the service, but it may not be bought. Just like the little boy, in a different climate from the United States that we are here, people hire people from different states and they serve in their house as house help. Actually, they call them housemaid or houseboy or anything. But they get paid and they leave. That's the closest example I can give you about a servant. Or people hire you to work for them. You do the work in the house and you go. You have served them. Whereas the disciple and the master relationship is also similar to the teacher and the student relationship. So you will see that the disciple of Christ usually call him rabbi. So because they strive, the intention is to be like Jesus Christ. The difference is that whereas the teachers of this world have children enrolled in their school, they don't have a choice of which student they teach. Jesus Christ decided who to be his disciples. Are you getting the point I'm making now? Now, so in a country too, so when I said you therefore marry both to become like his ambassador, it's important to understand who an ambassador is. An ambassador is a diplomatic official of highest rank sent by one sovereign state to another as its resident representative. I'm going to repeat that. An ambassador is the diplomatic official of the highest rank sent by one country or sovereign state to another as its resident representative. Let's come closer. Some time ago, some of us had cause to go and do our passports, to renew our Nigerian passports. And we had to go to like Atlanta from here, Durham, which is like 6-7 hours away, or we went to DC, which is about 4.5 to 5 hours away. The head of that unit there, who oversees all that is happening there, is the ambassador to the United States. So he represents Nigeria. So anything he says, rightly or wrongly, represents the view of his country. So in other words, actions or words spoken on behalf of the sender, which is his sovereign state, is acceptable as coming directly from that country. That is why, if you therefore run, you have issue in the country you are staying, and you go to the embassy of your country, once you are inside that country, the country where you are resident, which is supposed to be your foreign land, does not have a power over you any longer. You are on your country's land. That is the United Nations arrangement. And I want you to bring that into the house of the Lord. I want you to bring that into our relationship with Christ. And based on that premise, I want to address today our relationship with Christ, and in this message, Jesus Christ as our role model. Jesus Christ as our role model. Okay. Role model. A role model is a person or someone whose behavior, actions we desire to emulate. That's the simplest way to describe it. So if you say somebody is your role model, your target is close to what you can call a mentor. You want to be like that fellow. Let me make some disclaimer here. Disclaimer so that you may not have to, if you listen to this message or somebody listens to it, you may not have to defend my position. There's no need to defend it. I take every responsibility for this message. I'm saying that as a pastor, I'm constantly struggling and striving to meet the standard prescribed by Apostle Paul in 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 1 to 4. A standard that I seriously doubt if up to 10% of today's men or women of God can attain. And saying 10% is being generous. Maybe less than that. I'll read that.
The elders which are among you, I exhort, who am also an elder and a witness of the suffering.
You see, when you miss an article, you mess up the message. I, who am.
There's no I in the King James.
Oh, okay, it's here. Why?
I'm also an elder.
Okay.
And a witness of the sufferings of Christ.
Okay.
And also a partaker of the glory that shall be revealed.
And I want you to underline one thing, and this is why, much as I respect Apostle Paul so much, I respect the authenticity of the message of Apostle Peter. Now, this is why. When we started, when when this movement started as Christ Arrival International Church, I was privileged to be there. I was privileged to be by the side of the primate, who was not Jesus Christ, was human like you and I, but a servant of God. And a deep sense of humility, I say an original servant of God. So when I want to make claims of things that I heard from him, I can claim to be a partaker in the ministry of Primate J.J. Oni because I was there. Somebody else who joined thereafter, after his demise, may claim from records of things read and all that when I read about this, I had this from so and so. Or somebody was not that close to him, or was just part of that, but was never close to him, because the apostles and the disciples were really very close to Christ. They were the inner circle. Now, out of that, we have the three people, Peter, John, and James, who are the most inner circle of Christ. And out of the three, we have the beloved, John, who he handed his mother over to. So you can see how it went. So Jesus had preference for certain people. He had, among the disciples, he had people that they have special places. And when you look at their calling, maybe that was why, John and James, Peter, the way Peter was called was taken away, the way John and James just got, but let's leave that. That's not the subject for this discussion. But what I'm saying is, Peter is saying here, a witness of the suffering of Christ. He was actually a witness of the suffering of Christ. So when people want to condemn him for he was there and he denied Christ, he was just there for us to know how human we all are. He still went back. Christ forgave him, and he still told him, feed my flock, in John, in the book of John, because he really knows who Peter was. So he was a partaker in the suffering, even though reluctantly, because nobody really wants to suffer, go through it. The Holy Spirit has to minister to you. Read further. I just want you to note that in that line.
Feed the flock of God which is among you, taking the oversight.
So he's passing the message of Christ onto them. When Christ talked to him, okay, in John 20, let me take you to that, because it might look like what's he talking about. Let's look at the book of John, chapter 20. I think it's going to be verse 21. I just want to be sure what verse it is, but he talked to me and said, feed my flock. No. Feed my flock. He talked to Peter that way. No, it's chapter 21, yes. That's why I really wanted to. No, look at verse 15. But before you go to 15, chapter 21 of the book of John, and go to verse 11.
Simon Peter went up and drew the net to land full of great fishes, and 153. And for all they were, so
that's the background. So let's go to verse 15 now. John chapter 21, verse 15.
So when they had dined, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me more than this? He said unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He said unto him, Feed my lambs.
Continue.
He said to him again the
3
second
times.
time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? He said unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He said unto him, Feed my sheep.
Second time.
He said unto him the third time, Simon, son of Jonah, lovest thou me? Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, Lovest thou me? And he said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest that I love thee. Jesus said unto him, Feed my sheep.
Thank you. In In Yoruba land, if an elder wants to put emphasis, and this is what is called rhetorics in literature, to make it look more, to emphasize the importance of the message they want to pass to you, say, they call your name. The name may be Mabonike. That one will say, hey, Mabonike, hey, Mabonike, how many times did I call you? Then you will leave the message. Now Jesus Christ called Peter 3 times. And this time, he repeated the same message all over. Feed my lamb. In today's shepherds, today's pastors, when I meet them and I greet them, I remind them, please do not forget to feed the lamb under your care. I know they always dismiss what is your own business. I am putting them under judgment. I want them to also put that for me. And that is why, even at the point of being stupid, at the point of almost being termed, what is your problem? When a lamb or a sheep is going astray, I bend double. I try to bend double. So disclaimer I'm making here, let's go back to that. I said, I'm also struggling to meet up with what he said in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 1 to 4. Let's go back to what Peter recommends.
Feed the flock of God.
After you could see where his feeding, asking you to feed comes from. So when I greet you, Epele, Alagba, thank you, sir. I'm doing what Jesus Christ asked Peter to do, which Jesus Christ also asked Pa James Oni to do, which Pa James Oni asked me to do. So it's not stupidity. If you see me struggling to say, Agutan you about Osonu, it's not because the Agutan will pay me money. I don't receive salary from anybody. I make bold to say that. But I'll buy it. Please keep reading.
Taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly.
Therefore, when you want to do this job, don't do it because they say I must do it. Don't do it because I just have to do it. I must do it. No, do it with joy. Continue.
Not for filthy lucre, but of a ready.
This Bible is speaking big grammar. If you break it down to like simple English, these people, that's how they lose it, because they think it's stupid. So read it. Go on. Continue reading.
But of a ready mind.
Okay.
Neither as being lords over God's heritage, but being ensamples to the flock.
Thank you. Now, let me just tell you one thing. What you just read. I'm going to read that in a simpler English. It says, shepherd, 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 1 to 4. The elders amongst you I exhort, I, who am a fellow elder and a witness of the suffering of Christ, and also a partaker of the glory that will be revealed. Shepherd the flock of God, which is among you, serving as overseers, not by compulsion. I must just be a pastor by all means. No. Willingly. Not for, and this is the one I love most, not for dishonest gain, but eagerly. Nor as being lords over those entrusted to you, but being examples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that does not fade away. That's I'm striving to be. Therefore, whatever I'm saying today, if it touches pastors or anything, it is not because I am better, but I am striving. Montesiwa. No.